everybody, welcome back to the All Out Motorsports YouTube channel. I'm your host Alex Bowman, and today we are working on the mini bike. So this is the first time this has been on the channel, and we're going to get it ready to put a new engine on it. And fun fact, that is a race engine. So if you can't tell, this isn't actually me talking. The audio from my camera didn't work for some reason, so I'm just kind of doing my own voiceovers throughout the video. Um, but you'll still get to see me doing all the wrenching and everything. And basically, we're going to go through and get this engine off of here, get the mini bike cleaned up, and everything ready to go so that next week we can get the engine put on and hopefully be ripping it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is go around the mini bike, and I'm just going to give you guys an overview of everything. You can see on the front end here, I've got this really nice headlight so that when it's dark out, I can see where I'm going. Got a pretty nice front tire on here. The whole front is pretty good. I'm really happy with it. There's not a lot of work to do on it. Moving around to over here, I have a master power switch kind of hidden right there, as you can see. Flip that down, flip it on, and it gives power to the switchboard up here, which shows me battery life, and then has some USB ports for if I ever need to like charge a phone or charge anything. And then I have these two switches. This one is for the headlight, as you can see it flipping off and on right there. And then this middle one isn't connected to anything right now. It's just there in case I ever need it for something. And then it also gives power up to my tach here. This is I believe it's like a Trail Master, Trail something. I don't remember exactly what it is. And then I have a horn here as well. Um, and then the inside this like ammo box here is where the whole like rat's nest of wiring and everything is. That's not the prettiest thing in there, but at some point I'll go in and like rewire better. So as you can see, I flip it off, everything turns off. With the tach here, I do need to figure something out with this because it is it's pretty good, but not great. Actually, it's not even that great. It the RPM doesn't show right, and sometimes it'll show me like 6,000 RPM, 6,500 RPM, or something like that. And I know that that's not right because like this engine can't go that high. And then it also has speed. There's a wire that comes all the way to the back here, and a magnet sensor and a magnet on the gear there that is supposed to trip and tell me the speed, but it doesn't really reliably do that. Which was that was one of the biggest reasons why I got the tach to start with, because I really wanted to be able to see my speed as I was driving around. But that's not even really working, so that's a bummer. Coming around back up here to the front, yeah, like I said, I'm probably gonna put like one of my old Micron 3s or something on there just so I can get an accurate RPM reading. If I can get the speed working on it, I'll probably leave this tach on there just so I can see the speed because I like to know the speed and stuff. From there, we're going to move to the back of the bike. You can see this little bitty brake right here. Little bitty brake pads, just kind of a cable pull system. It's not the greatest brake in the world, but it gets me stopped. And then I have this little like cargo bin here, and this little wing I put on because I thought it would be pretty fun to just like, have a wing on there. And then I have the fuel tank underneath that rack as well. As you can see, this was actually made for like a bicycle that gets converted into like having a little, like 50cc engine. So it's kind of a weird spot because it's hanging off the back, and most mini bikes have it like up underneath the frame, like right under the seat. But I actually kind of like how it turned out. I think it looks really cool and unique. It's a little bit weird just because the fuel line has to run all the way from the back up to the front, as you can see right here. Has to run all the way up there, but it hasn't really been an issue because I put a fuel pump on it anyways, so it pulls the fuel out. And then looking at the rear tire, as you can see, it is very, very bald, when I got it, it was already pretty bald to start with, and then, I put a bigger engine on it and had to do some burnouts and made it really bald. It's perfectly drivable, perfectly fine like that. That's just like low on my priority list. However, I took it down to the racetrack and was driving around on the gravel, and that was very difficult with a bald tire. And then at one point, I actually went through a puddle on some concrete and then tried to turn right after that, and almost slid out and crashed it. So that's definitely something that is on the list. It's just not very high up because it doesn't super affect me right now. But that's probably something I'll do later this off season. Coming on up to the engine here, I actually really like this engine. It's a Predator 212 from just Harbor Freight, Obviously, the pull cord's not on it right now. I stole that because it broke on one of my clone engines, so I took that. Um, I put a upgraded throttle cable on it from what the stock one is, just so it works a lot better. Have the fuel pump on there, and then if you come around to back here, I have a spark plug that is it's a little bit of an upgraded spark plug just from your normal one, but I just use the worn out ones from racing, and then the clear valve cover, which I really like because you can see the valves working, and an upgraded air intake as well. There's just all kind of the basic things that you need to run one of these engines on a mini bike, and then an upgraded exhaust as well. Over on the other side of the engine, we have a torque converter mounted up instead of a clutch. If you don't know what a torque converter is, basically it's this pulley system where both pulleys will change sizes depending on your speed and RPM, and that'll help you get the low end acceleration as well as the high end high end top speed. Whereas a clutch, you just kind of have to choose one or the other. A torque converter is nice because it'll give you both of them. However, with this torque converter on here, I had to raise the engine up and put it on these blocks, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'd rather just have it flat down on the plate there, but I had to do what I had to do to get that to fit on there. But I'm also thinking the torque converter is part of the issues that I was having. So my issue was basically that um, when I was trying to get to idle and start, it would if I'd have the idle low enough that the torque converter wasn't engaging, it would just die and stall because the idle wasn't high enough. But once I got it to that point where it'd be high enough to keep itself running, then I think the torque converter was slightly engaging some and grabbing and just killing the engine from that. So I think that was a big part of the issue. I kept it maintenance and everything pretty well, but I I don't know. I bought a in all honesty, I bought a super cheap torque converter off like Amazon or something. So it's not a very high end one, and I think that's probably what the issue is in all honesty. But just to eliminate that variable when we go to the new engine, I'm just gonna put a clutch on it. I've got some extra clutches laying around now, so I'm just gonna go with the clutch to eliminate that variable altogether. One of the other possible issues had to do with the carburetor. So part of the issue that I was having, I think, could have to do with the bowl of the carburetor being dirty. So at one point, I dropped the bowl from the carburetor. There was a little bit of dirt and stuff in there, so I ended up cleaning that out to see if that helped at all. But then, in the process, ended up ripping the gasket. So now, when I put the bowl back on, and put fuel in it, all the fuel just comes pouring out. So I actually think it might have been a little bit of both, because as you just saw me kind of explaining there on the video, when I would get on the throttle, it would just kind of bog a little bit and and then it would suddenly take off. Um, so I think it might have been a little bit of the clutch not letting it idle, and then some weird stuff going on with the carburetor. So again, this carburetor isn't going to be on the new engine, so I'm just eliminating a lot of the variables, and I'll look into this carburetor a little bit more at a future point and kind of diagnose what's going on with it. Now that I've given you guys the full rundown of everything to do with the mini bike and all about it, I am going to go ahead and jump into getting this engine off of here, getting getting it all ready to go for the new engine. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. Hopefully it's pretty easy. Might end up being kind of difficult, but we'll find out. So that actually ended up going a whole lot better than I anticipated it was going to be. Like I said, I wasn't really sure if it was going to be easy or hard to get off of there, but it ended up being pretty easy. Just kind of show you guys what we're working with here. Um, oh yeah, with the torque converter. So kind of show you guys what I was talking about with the belt. Um, I don't really know what to look for in a belt to see if it was getting worn or not. You guys might be able to tell me better. You can see a bit of the cord showing through there. I'm not sure if that's normal, if that's like how it came or what. Um, and then same thing over on the other side. It's not as bad on this side, but it's still kind of shows some cords. So maybe you guys could kind of fill me in on if you know stuff about torque converters. Is the belt supposed to look like that? Does that look bad? I don't know. But then when you look at this plate and this rear pulley here, there's all of this. Well, you can't really see what I'm doing. There we go. There's all this black stuff on here, which I believe is the belt, like getting shaved off and like shavings from that and everything. So I think that tells me that I was probably right that it was just rubbing a lot. I, again, don't know if that's normal or not for a torque converter. You guys will have to let me know about that. Coming back over here to the bike, you can see I have this engine plate on here that's super nice because it allows me to move the engine side to side, forward to back, wherever I need it. Um, it's from HRM. I don't really know what that stands for anymore or anything, but it's super nice. It's like a billet aluminum plate, and it's super, super helpful when it comes to uh, getting the engine in the right spot. And as you can see, I had to stack some tubing underneath it to get the engine raised up. So I'm super happy with that. It was really nice to be able to have that. And as you can see how dirty everything is, it really just needs a good cleaning, good wipe down. I don't think I've cleaned this at all in the couple years since I built it. You can see right there the muffler touching the frame and the paint has kind of burnt it a little bit. So that's a spot I'll need to clean up and stuff. Um, but yeah, it just really needs some good old TLC, get all the dust and everything off of it because it was dirty when I put it away. And then it's been just sitting for the last few months because the engine hasn't been working. So it's just collected even more dust and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get it all nice and cleaned up before we move on to anything else. Check out how much cleaner this is. I'm super happy with how well this turned out. You can see that burnt spot there got all that stuff off. Um, I did realize though I was using some carb cleaner and it was starting to take the paint off. As you can see right there, that darkness you see showing through isn't dirt. That is actually the metal underneath. So yeah, I had to stop using the carb cleaner, even though it made things look very nice and very uh, bright yellow again. It was taking the paint off, so that was not good. But I got everything nice and cleaned. It looks really, really good. There are some spots where I wish I could have got it cleaner, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not supposed to be nice or anything. So I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Um, I'm gonna need to paint that front fender at some point. I got it. I actually got that fender. I had to buy it separately. I got it after I got the rear one and had already painted everything, so it just never got painted. It was on the to-do list and it just never happened. So at some point I might end up doing that. But yeah, so it's all nice and clean and ready for the new engine over here in the corner. So let's go over and check it out. You can see the engine I took off sitting right there next to it. So yeah, let's go ahead and here we go. Moment of truth. Opening up the new engine to reveal what it is. I'm super hyping this up, but a lot of you might have already figured it out. I might have mentioned it before. You've seen it sitting around. But let's get it cut open out of the bag and revealed what it is. You might be able to tell from the air filter an idea what it might be. It's orange. And yeah, we got a Briggs & Stratton LO206 crate engine. So let's go ahead and get all of this, the like garbage bag out of the way. And look at that nice, beautiful engine. So a little bit of background on this engine. I actually bought it, I believe it was the end of 2019. There was a huge movement throughout 2019 towards 206 racing on dirt. It's really big with asphalt racing for karts, and everyone in the dirt world was moving towards it as well. We had probably almost 15 people every week in this class at Lawrenceburg, and I know of probably 5 to 8 more that were buying them in the off season. So it was going to be an absolutely huge class down there. The clone class was dying, 206s were coming in, and then for some reason, like halfway through 2020, I want to say, something happened and everyone just sold all their 206 engines. Like the class just completely died. So like now at Lawrenceburg and Cincy Speedway, there's one that shows up every time, and before we were looking at probably having 20 in every class. I have no idea why that is, what happened, but everyone just decided to kind of dip from the class, which is really sad because I really like this engine, and it has a lot less maintenance to it. It pretty much never has to be rebuilt, which the clones have to be rebuilt every year, oil changed every week, but the 206 never has to be rebuilt. You change the oil like once a month, and it's just a whole lot cheaper to maintain and keep running. And it's a crate engine, so it's all sealed up, so everybody's on a level playing field. You don't ever have to worry about someone cheating with their engine or having a better engine than you. It puts it a whole lot more in the driver's hands, but it's not raced around here anymore, so I figured instead of letting it go to waste sitting in the corner of the garage, might as well strap it on my mini bike. If you've never seen a Briggs & Stratton LO206 before, I'm just going to go and give a quick overview of the engine. As you can see right here, it is locked from the factory, so you cannot open it up. You can do a little bit adjustments with the carburetor and some like valve spacing, but that's about it. It's got a slide style carburetor instead of the butterfly valve that we're used to with the clone. I've never actually ran a slide style carburetor before, so it was quite the difference trying to learn that from here. Um, you can see I'm pulling on it there, and it's the slide's not working for some reason. Like I said, this engine sat for probably a year and a half at this point, so I'm assuming it just needs to be unstuck a little bit because it moves up and down instead of side to side like a butterfly, and sometimes it'll get stuck. Got a spark plug there. It's the same spark plug as the clone engine runs. Um, it has the kill button right there. With the clone, we disconnect the kill button, but on a 206, it stays on there because there's no way to easily pull the spark plug boot off. So you have to have that button to kill it. As you can see, there's another lock on the front there, um, and then there is a special drum clutch that runs with the 206, which this is the only drum clutch I've ever run as well. Normally we use a disc clutch, and yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just kind of your typical small little engine. So yeah, that is a 206 for you. Just like I assumed that slide and throttle cable being stuck was really just I just needed to take a screwdriver and kind of pop it loose, and now it works perfectly fine. It was really just as easy as putting it in there and just giving a little nudge, and it popped open and free. And yeah, works just like new now. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end off this video. I was hoping to get a little bit more done, possibly start working on getting fitment ready for the 206 to go on there, but this video is already getting pretty long, and kind of glad I didn't do any more than that because the you know, audio issues. So next week we will be getting the 206 put on the mini bike. Hopefully we don't run into any issues. It should bolt up to the same holes and everything. It should line up just fine. But remember to make some comments down below. Let me know what you think about putting the 206 on the mini bike. Good idea, bad idea. Am I going to get hurt having so much more power on here? Yeah, just let me know what you think about this. Uh, and like and subscribe. And as always, pecker up, hammer down.